know if I have enough coffee for the entirety of this program.
You should, because we're live now. And welcome to the new episode of More Than Dice. What episode are we on, Kathy? You're like my person I need to know about all this stuff.
17 maybe?
17?
I want to say 17 also.
We are on 17. We just finished the pre-ramble. And today is our Necromunda episode. And also talking about miniature games that have our lower model count.
Skirmish games we all love so much.
Which, before we do that, let's get our tradition. Kathy, what are you drinking tonight?
Coffee, and I feel like I don't have enough for the entirety of this show.
So we may have to, like, during the break, you may have to go somewhere and get something and come back?
I may need more. I may have to tap the husband to get me more.
Go in there. Get me some more coffee. John, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I have a shot of Rebel Yell root beer flavored whiskey.
Okay.
That was my purchase of something I never had before.
Interesting.
I also have a pile driver, or a screwdriver with probably way too much vodka in it. And then if I feel like I need more, I have Captain Morgan's Loco Nut coconut rum on tap as well.
The Loco Nut sounds really good.
And I have a special guest to jump on the podcast, too.
A special guest?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't even know about this one.
This is my special guest tonight.
Oh, hey. I guess we have to do special guests. Which one? Should we go comic book or what?
Oh, whatever you got on hand, man.
Oh, here.
My roommate bought this for a friend. And I'm like, this guy's got to make a special guest appearance because he's awesome.
He is cool.
Bring my Nightcrawler out. And now let's see if he stands back up. Stay. Okay. I'm actually going to be drinking, of course, some good old sortilege. And I will be chasing that with some Mother's. No waffles. I don't have any waffles. I ran out of waffles. I was so bad this morning. I woke up and I was like, yeah, let me do that so I can save it on the podcast. And I was like, no fucking... No more waffles.
And for Gonzo, yeah, I have a muscle car to go with my Rebel Yell. There's a Mustang. I got another one up here.
And I'll be chasing it down with some Mother's Coffee Stout Winter Grind. So with that said, guys, Ron.
Cheers.
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 Oh, gosh.
And
That's a little hard.
Not only is this just coffee, it has a little sugar and some leche de coco, just plain old coconut milk mixed with it, which is delightful.
That was a little harsh. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Does it need to be mixed with something else?
If it does, I have root beer downstairs to mix it with because that seems like the appropriate thing. And you get alcoholic root beer.
Alcoholic root beer.
And what does the chicken say?
Why does...
There's a video of Adam Savage from Mythbusters, and he's got a table full of
I've
rubber
seen...
chickens that make those noise. And like he does one, it's like a horrible noise, especially when you have headphones. And then he does all of them, and you're like, "Oh my god!" And the only thing that kept me going through the video is picturing Jamie Hyman somewhere in the facility, going, "What the hell is that noise? I'm going to kill him."
Yes. Which, talk about that. Have you watched the new Mythbusters yet?
Nope. I
Um.
require this thing called cable that I do not have.
Yes, I as well do not have cable.
I do PlayStation View, and I've been watching the new Mythbusters series because it's got a new team, and it's actually not bad. They're actually pretty good. It follows the same line. The two guys on there are pretty good. They are a lot better. So I don't know. Still worth it. Still fun. Still good to watch.
Fair. That's good.
So with that said, before we get started on the Necromunda thing, if you notice at the very top of our screen, we have our Patreon account. We have updated our Patreon account and changed a few things. They're at the $20 level, which I really want at least one person to donate for 1 month.
He
$20
only wants that because it'll torture me into attempting to essentially wrap Will Smith's Wild Wild West in the Wild Wild West, you know?
Yeah.
Which
Legally.
will be horrible.
It will be amazing
It will be
for her
hilarious.
to do that. I so want someone to donate to that. That would be amazing to hear her do that.
Watch Kathy make a fool of herself.
Other than that, John, would you like to talk about all the other patron rewards that we have? Please.
You wait till I close the page down?
Yes, I know you did too. I can see your hand moving around and looking.
Sucker. Well, at the $1 level, you still get the preamble, which we give a lot of good information out. A lot of just chat about games or whatever. We had a good discussion about actually part of this topic. Smaller level games we were talking about Dystopian Wars and Wild West Exodus, and then they basically banned him from the website and all that, and blocked every week. Yep, even if you can't make it live. In addition, at the $2 level, you get, of course, the $1 level, and you also get a 16 millimeter more than dice die with the logo on the side of the 6, because dice with logo on the side of the 1 are not bueno. Because dice want to show you the cool stuff on them, and if the cool stuff is on the 1, they'll show you 1s, and most games do not reward 1s.
No.
Not unless you're rolling morale.
Correct. And then at the $5 level, you get 3 for the price of 1, which is Kathy's hobby videos. She just did one on bases, I believe.
Yes.
And you also get my minis and movies, where I talk about minis and movies.
Which is totally worth it, because he's really good at, critiquing movies.
I do have to say, though,
pretty funny.
I've been going through what I call the Avengers Initiative, which is all the Marvel Cinematic movies in order, and I'm stopping after Ant-Man because the rest are way too recent, and for fuck's sake, I've been watching Marvel movies for so long. And while that's not terrible because the quality is high, I want to start talking about other stuff. I'm going to do a couple of weeks of random things. Then I might do something crazy like the Fast and the Furious series.
What?
I love those movies, but I haven't actually watched 3 ever, and I haven't watched 2 in a long, long time. So that would be interesting to watch.
Send me a message, and I'll watch it in tandem with you, and because then we can talk about it.
We might have to do that on the main podcast, so get Gonzo in on that action. And then the final part of that trifecta is Gonzo doing reviews of tabletop RPGs and board games. And of course, you do also still get everything at the lower levels. And then the $15 level, you get put into a raffle to win a model that Kathy paints up to a super high quality because she's awesome.
Super, super awesome.
And, of course, everything at a lower level, which Gonzo has made absolutely clear in all of these. And then, if you donate $20 per episode for 1 month after it goes through and we're good, Kathy will wrap Will Smith's Wild Wild West. And then Gonzo will replace this with a whole new goal.
Yes.
Which I'm sure will survive me singing something horrible.
Somebody will be making a fool of themselves, rest assured.
Because I need help.
100% we'll be doing that. But we also want to say thanks a lot for everybody that's been donating to this. It really helps us do a lot of things. Yeah. Helps us pay the bills. Helps us bring you good content. Helps us. I mean, we got Kathy a brand new, awesome camera with the money.
So that you all can see me and also see the videos that I make.
Yes.
So I'm not just talking into thin air.
It does help to picture an audience, doesn't it?
Yes. Y'all are being... All right, so let's go and get started with our review. First things first, let's talk about the actual game. Because this game was out for a long time and then just poof, disappeared. They quit providing anything for it. And I was a huge, huge lover of this game because I played the Redemptionists. Love the role-playing aspect of it, where everything, died and had infantry and problems. And it just disappeared, and I was, really bummed about it. Has anybody got to play a game yet?
Nope.
Next Sunday I have a game scheduled with a buddy of mine. So we're gonna do one of the I think there's like 5 model count scenarios in the Underhive rules.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see how that goes, and then I can talk about it next Sunday.
I played some games at my house. Pulled up my portable table, put up some terrain, and I didn't have the actual model, so I just used the appropriate size bases and stuff. And if you've read the rules and you've even glanced over it, it pretty much is 40K. And watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Hold on. Let me deal with John real quick. Hey, Kathy, how you doing?
I'm dying.
Oh,
Oh, that's great. And so, if you played Necromunda to begin with, you're going to like the new edition. If you played any 40K games, you've played Necromunda pretty much. That's pretty much what it's going to be like. There is some rules that I don't like. There's some rules I do like. I don't.
templates! God, why do templates still exist? I thought
No.
we were dead.
Are you talking about the Underhive or the Game Wars, where it's the 3D, more like normal Necromunda?
Both. Me personally, I don't like the 2D version of it. It plays fine. It's just I like 3D terrain with this. It is
Yeah.
ripe for 3D terrain.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
So we're going to go over the book a little bit. I did not buy my own copy. Luckily, I had my friend Nick, my supercomputer friend, bought copies and let me borrow them for a little bit. The first part of this book is pretty much nothing but fluff. You've got almost 35 pages of fluff for you to peruse and read and discuss and learn about the world, which is good, because I know a lot of people like that. And then the rest of the book is rules for different scenarios. It's got like 6 different scenarios in here. Talks about, different objectives, how to do everything, rules for weapons, the 2 gangs, etc., etc. If you played Necromunda of old, you'll like the new Necromunda. That's all I'm going to say, because it plays very similar to it. Congo's very biased about his gang, by the way, so he will just have to deal with that.
Congo biased?
No. My biggest complaint are, if you want to play the 2D version, you buy the rulebook. You want to play with the 3D stuff, you got to buy the Gang War book. To me, it's typical GW tactics. But I understand people wanting to make a
It
buck.
does fit with their current status, where they make a game
Mm-hmm.
that is a perfectly viable game. Boom, you can play it with this. You do not anything extra. And
Yeah.
then you either take your other books, like you take your Overkill, Deathwatch Overkill, you take your models and you add it to your Gene Stealer Cult or your Deathwatch army, and then you play in a different game. So
Mhm.
it really is sort of the same thing. And I can't really fault them for that, even though I'd like to.
Yeah, it's I guess it's typical GW stuff. So it's not like you're used to this by now. So you just got to get used to it. They do give you, and I want to call it like a dumbed down version, but a smaller, easier version to play, so you don't have to worry about all the other stuff like falling damage and ammo checks and all that stuff. So you can just learn. So they do start it off pretty good. I wish. Let's keep on just what it was, because there's a lot of I wishes I want in this book. Everything's fine. Like I said, if you know how to play 40K, you know how to play Necromunda. Every much the same. You've got different dice, specialized dice in this game though, which is like if you have scatter dice in 40K, you'll need scatter dice for here. You have a firepower dice and you have an injury dice that you have to roll with. So it's not unheard of, and you can actually probably figure out and substitute the dice in that you need. I don't remember if they actually gave you a way to do it with regular dice.
I'm sure you can figure it out. I'm sure someone's figured it out, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a turn off to me too. I'm not a big fan of specialized dice.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you could probably take a dice that you have and go, all right, 1 and 2 is this, 3 and 4 is this, 5 and 6 is this, no problem. The core mechanics are still there. You're not going to have these superpowered shots and superpowered explosions, and because nobody's walking around in power armor. It's all makeshift stuff. So it's the Necromunda that you liked.
No one's walking around in power armor yet. That's
until we get probably what are they? The one gang Spryers, yeah. Until maybe the Spryers
is basically walking around in power armor.
Yeah. It gives you a few scenarios, and they're all 2D scenarios. And there's all special rules for each scenario spot, which I thought was good. But when you really, 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 really want to get in the game and play it the way you remember, or the way I remember, is definitely get the Gang War book. Because this adds all the 3D rules, jumping over expansions, climbing up stuff, falling damage, you name it. Campaign battles, which I think is the greatest. It's the reason why I started playing Necromunda, was because of the campaign battles.
Oh, yeah.
That was the greatest thing. Did y'all play this before it disappeared?
Oh, please. Yeah.
I figured you had. I didn't know if Kathy had or not.
I ran a couple different campaigns at the Battle Bunker in Glen Burnie for a long time. My boss ran one for a while. Well, he ended up being my boss, who was my boss at the time. And then I ran one after him that lasted probably a good year.
Yeah. But campaign battles is where it's at, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, if you can find like 6 of y'all and 6 different gangs or whatever and play the campaign battles, that's where the game shines, because you have damaging, finding rare equipment, special territory tables. Guy got, his eye shot out, so his ballistic skills 1 lower, buying new people. All the stuff that was what made Necromunda fun. Skills. Yeah, XP.
It's like Blood Bowl. You can perfectly capable of playing a game that's fun, one-off, but when you start playing a league or a season or whatever, it really shines.
Seasons, yeah. It's that continuity of building your team, building your gang. With you get some negative things too, but mainly you're just building it all up.
That stuff happens, but
kill off that negative guy and buy another one, right?
Yes. You send him out to die, let him die, so you can go buy someone else that's a little cheaper and a little bit better.
If you were the original Scabbies, you just throw them in the pot.
Yep.
I don't feel like paying all you guys for food, so we're going to eat Mr. I Lost an Arm.
Yes.
Or as we call him, Future Burrito.
Soylent Green.
It's made for people.
Spoilers? Holy shit.
How old is that movie? You cannot spoil a movie that old.
Wait, Soylent Green is people?
Yes. It was put out before I was born. It is not possible to spoil that movie.
What was the one I spoiled last time?
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
There's only one movie I know of that I will not spoil. I don't care how old it gets, and that is The Usual Suspects.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, if someone has had Sixth Sense spoiled, I won't spoil that either. But I mean, really, come on. There's an age at which you're like, everyone has heard that jokes. It does not matter.
Yep. So guys, if you like Necromunda old, 100% buy the rulebook, buy the Gang War, and get started on campaigns. That's where the game is going to be. 100% get into the campaigns. I remember playing this game. It reminded me of playing it back then. The experience tables, the damage tables, you name it. Everything was there, and I loved every minute of it. Can't wait to play it again. Which kind of brings me why I'm not playing it now, chicken head.
All night, son. I do it all night.
Yes. So there are some complaints with the game. There's always going to be some complaints with the game. My biggest complaint, got to hold a piece of paper behind it. There you go. Hey, autofocus. I got it. The biggest complaint I have with the game, there's not enough gangs.
Yep.
100%.
When all the gangs are out, this is going to be something.
Yes.
Just the 6 basic gangs will be enough to get you some variety in models and all.
I think they, to me, it feels like they release it just to release it.
It's a good Christmas season lead-in because it'll get their palate for new players. For new players, it's gonna be great because they got enough to play. Be like, oh, cool! Look at all this stuff, and as release stuff, it'll be great. For us older players who are waiting for stuff, it'll be a little while before it's the game we want it to be.
Yes.
I don't think we'll have to wait too long for some of the newer next gangs, the Orlocks and stuff, to come out.
That's pretty good.
I hope they don't take very long between new gangs because there is a lot of really cool gangs. I played the Redemptionists because they were crazy, religious zealots that had one-shot flamethrowers, which I thought was really cool.
Bansar.
Yep.
And chainsaws with flamethrowers attached to them because that's a thing that needs to happen.
Yes.
How can you not love that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was a lot of really cool stuff on there.
Congo said Orlocks are January or February, so it looks like 2 months or so between gangs, so it'll be another year before it's everything released. Which is, it's okay.
Well, so by the time the next one is released, we will have finally gotten our first games built.
That's fair.
Yes.
I might be ready to play another game at that point.
Well, I hope that they bring out, and I hope they don't wait too long to bring them out, because they really, it's kind of like, oh, you're either playing, those two gangs and that's it. And I'm like, I don't want to play either one of those. Neither one of those really.
I've kind of fallen in love with my Goliaths, so I don't really, have a bone to pick, but it would be nice to see some Spires and some Bansars and some Orlocks and stuff. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, when the Orlocks release, all the gangs I played will have been released because I played Escher's originally, Orlocks for a bit, and then when the Necromunda Underhive came out from the Special Games label, I played Goliaths. So, never done Vansars or that or any of the really crazy guys.
Well, like I said, they need really. That's one of my big gripes is they should have brought out like 5 or 4.
It's tough to release that much in a month because there's only so much money that people have.
This is the starter box, and GW is not always the best with a starter box.
Yeah.
But I think once things get rolling and more stuff is released, and there's FAQs and stuff, then things will look better.
I think Shadespire's been releasing a faction a month. It released, and I think they're doing a faction a month. So I'm sure it'll be pretty similar for Necromunda when they get down to it. They're probably just waiting to January, February to start off. Let the Christmas season play out because there's only so much money they have at the Christmas season.
Correct.
Like once you've got your early Christmas releases out, just stop. Don't. There's no need to go any farther. I'm talking to you, fantasy play games. Jesus, stop doing this to us.
And it's also the financial quarters too.
Mm-hmm.
That plays into it.
Yes, so it takes up a little bit. So it'll be fine. I would imagine once they start releasing, they'll come one a month, and it'll be before you know it, we'll have all the basic gangs, and they'll start doing the crazy ones.
Yeah, and like this, and it's only a matter of time. They're going to bring them. I just got to wait till I find a gang that I want to play, and that's going to be the thing: is finding a gang that I want to play.
Yeah, it's easy to step back and say that it's a bad call because you're not going to get all the players initially, but they're still going to have people initially, and when someone else comes in wanting to play, everyone's going to remember, like, oh, yeah, I got that game, let's play.
Yeah.
So they should be fine overall.
I hope so. Another gripe of mine is, and it's a nitpicking gripe, although we did it when we played, but nowadays I don't see for it, is the knockdown rule and pinned rule. And I'm not talking about that they have it. I'm talking that you physically lay your model over on its back or its front. And
I feel like you could still, instead of doing that, put a counter on it.
Exactly.
Somebody's making counters for it.
Yes.
So somebody out there with a laser etcher, make some counters for pin models for Necromunda.
Yes.
Yeah, make two-sided, pinned and knocked down.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they say that you need to knock your model over and face it down or face it up, depending on what happened.
Which is great in the board game, like in Blood Bowl. That I'm very familiar with that with Blood Bowl when you're on a board. But when you're on
board,
like
yeah.
the sandpapery textured surface of a 3D terrain table, you don't want to be laying your models down on it.
Yeah.
And if you've painted your Blood Bowl models, you don't want to be laying them down if you can help it. They should literally have two-sided counters that are like knocked down and stunned for Blood Bowl.
And there's plenty of people that make counters like that for Blood Bowl, so that you don't have to.
Correct.
How many times do your models on a circular basis rolled over because the board, the table got hit, and now you're like, were they knocked down or were they stunned?
Correct.
Only that one time where I slammed my model down on the table and everybody's models went up and then landed and tipped over. It was my one. I was PMSing.
I actually put my Blood Bowl models. They're all on square bases because I'm laying them down on their front or back. I'm putting them on square bases so they don't roll.
I've never had a problem with that. I think you're just weird.
Film at 11. I'm weird.
Knocked down, stunned. Knocked down, stunned. I always had a front.
The old models, some of those models fit inside their base very well, and they'll roll pretty well.
Yeah, and that was my thing, is that you could actually have a model on like a third level, and you could lay it face down, bump a piece of terrain, and it could fall off. Which, I mean, this isn't a game that's like a huge, problem with measurements and stuff, but still, if they were old metal ones, there goes a piece shot off the models.
Yeah, and there's people who paint maze balls and don't really want to be doing that because their paint job's maze balls.
Correct. So I figured you could just do a token set or just a pin knockdown and just lay that token next to it. It makes it a whole lot easier.
Extra accoutrement for a miniature gamer?
What? Not people we know. No.
That's our shit right there.
I do feel that there's going to be an FAQ coming out pretty soon for it, because there were some rules questions I had that we couldn't figure out. One of the ones was if you have someone that's gained experience and went from like a novice to a champion or whatever, do they gain the equipment or do they just gain the stats?
I would say gain the stats. That seems...
Yeah, because it says they become a champion. Correct, because you don't know. Well, is my guy going to get a chess piece, or is he just?
It's the age-old problem of testing a game. You know what happens because you're intimate with it, and then someone goes out there. You got to test it for the lowest common denominator. The guys who've never played a game before.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they're not going to think, they're like, oh, I'm a champion now. I get all the champion stuff. I think that's a fair question.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Go ahead.
You give it to somebody who doesn't know how it's supposed to be played.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no expectations, and all of a sudden they're going to be discovering things you never thought of.
Yeah. I worked with testers for video games. Those guys just break shit. But that's their job, so. So what's the next game we're going to talk about there, Gonzo?
Well, I wanted to go with yours because, me personally, I don't have a problem with the templates. For the simple fact that I don't like the way that templates are done in 40K. I like Flamer's templates.
I didn't feel like I had a problem with templates until I played without templates.
Okay, then do tell.
Suddenly it was so much easier. It's like when you have a game that is so predicated upon being in cover, and cover pieces that are not made for you to be able to spread out your unit in cover, having it be abstract in a game that's already abstract because there are no facings, there are no sides of vehicles, there are no which way is your vehicle facing. That shit don't matter.
And now you don't have to worry about clustering all your guys close together to get in this one tiny little piece of terrain.
Yep, you can go like, they're here, this is where they are, it doesn't matter, your template's going to hit D6 of them regardless. And it's a simplifying thing, but in a game that's aiming for simple, it's great. And I was surprised they put it back in because in a low model count game, I feel like templates are a detriment.
Yeah, definitely.
It adds extra time to a game that you want to play a little more fast-paced, and you're unlikely to get too much scatter effectiveness. I mean, scattering templates Necromunda was already like an exercise in pointlessness. Well, if it goes this one direction for this exact amount, I'll hit that guy. Otherwise, we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
I haven't, like I said, I don't have a lot of template using weapons in 40K, so I never used them a lot because of the armies I pick. So I'm not 100% sure how I like that. But I understand why they hit it for this, but I can also see your point of view. Make it quick and simple. Roll a d6 for every model in there. 3+ they get hit, 2+ they get whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a detriment to the game. I would call it a talking point.
Okay.
Of surprising they did that. You know, it's not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna play that game because it's got templates. How templates? Can't believe they're doing that on old shit. Jesus, this is the 21st century. It's not like that. It's just like you don't realize till you're playing. Like, oh, you know, this makes things a lot easier. I mean, I couldn't imagine playing my orcs, and Jesus, I still have a shit ton of orcs, maybe 2 shit tons, possibly 3. Having those guys run across the board, flamers coming up, we just be like, well, okay, you hit like 7, 8 guys, just start rolling some dice and I'll start picking models up. Being a D6 makes it a lot easier to play some of those bigger armies. It levels the playing field, so to speak, but that's not really what we're here to talk about, big armies. We're here to talk about small armies.
Another thing I think that's going to be very important in the game is there is line of sight in the game. And I feel that you're going to need to mark your bases on this game because it's not line of sight per like Warhammer 40K. You know the 180-degree angle. It's a 90-degree angle off of whatever you do. So you're going to need, and I didn't get the box set contents, but I guess the box set content has a template you can put to do the 90-degree. But I feel as a player, I would mark the 90-degree line of sight
90
facing.
degrees, really?
Yeah.
Not 180?
Nope.
That's odd, and I would actually call that potentially a problem.
Let me make sure, because that's what I remember reading is line of sight was a 90-degree arc off the front of the model.
Oh, that's common. That was used to be the old fantasy thing was 90 degrees, but in most skirmish games, they at least, if they use facings, they use front and back basically 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Either it's here and you can see it, because I can see both my arms, but then again, I got crazy eyes. That happens. Not like this. That's a little weird.
Yeah, where was it? Let me see if I can find the ruling on it.
Because other games, similar games, like Infinity uses front 180, Malifaux uses nothing.
Guild Ball doesn't use any.
Yeah, Guild Ball doesn't use anything. Yeah, I mean, what's that game?
Yeah.
Relic Knights doesn't use anything.
Vision arc. Each fighter has a vision arc representing the area that is visible to them. This is a 90-degree to the front, starting from the front, starting at the center of their base, as shown in the template in the diagram below. 2 vision arc templates are included, one for Escher fighters and one for Goliath fighters. To do so. I would, as a player, I would want a template I could put and paint that 90-degree arc on there. That way, I always knew where that was, just for my own.
Because of the way it works on a circle base. On a square base, it would work perfectly because the way the square base intersects, if you draw the lines from the corners together, you get a 90-degree arc out from the corners.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily tell. But on a circle base, there's no way to tell.
That's what I'm saying. You would have to get a template.
Even if you draw lines on it, you can't tell because you have to get the right intersection point for those lines. So,
well, they include a template.
Choice.
Yeah, they include a template, 2 templates in the box. So you could probably put that up there and then color, in between those, or mark it. So
you probably could. It would help a little bit for quick and easy.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably would do it for myself in my own models.
Just templates. Cause somebody's already got laser etch stuff. It's basically a big, what you'd expect. It's sort of like the it's a right angle triangle. With a circle cut out of the corner so you can put it to the base. Interesting.
Yep. Which is that may be what they have to do. But I mean, as myself as a player, I would probably do that just so I know while I'm playing I can get a quick and easy gauge instead of bringing a template out and putting it down type thing. So, other than that, the kind of nitpicky things, not too bad.
Well, I would not say the line of sight one's nitpicky. I think that is needlessly complicated.
Okay. I'm just saying, but
that's my opinion.
Definitely, I would. Yeah, and I would, like I said, I would paint mine to make it easier on myself.
Yeah.
So we talked about the rules, terrain works pretty much about the same. You have falling damage, etc., etc. So now what you have to worry about are the models. And Kathy, this is pretty much all you because I haven't got to see the models, but I have a really, really cool slide. You may want to get, if you're not on the... yeah, you did. If you're not on the Twitch stream, you may need to, just so you can see this, because I had uploaded all of the pictures for you and all the information. So we're going to switch over to this PowerPoint.
Oh, that's right, the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. We're going crazy here.
We're doing some wild stuff.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I don't know jack shit about Microsoft Office. So, you know.
Well, what I did is I took the pictures that you had in your account and that you made on the thing and put them up on this, and we can go through them and you can talk about them because, like I said, you're the only one I know that has physically had them.
Does it mean I need to get onto the Twitch?
Yeah, you need to get on the Twitch. So log on to...
Let me just go ahead and
Bane with the revolver shotgun.
Yeah, it's a
log in too. Holy smokes!
I have to ask you, Kathy. Did you
What?
drill the barrel out, or did it come like that?
Oh my god! I drilled all the barrels out because it's plastic.
You are super awesome, and somewhere my buddy Al Marshall is having a drink for you because
Thanks,
that's what he
Al,
does.
Somewhere. Because I never did on metal stuff because it was always such a pain in the ass. But these were plastic, and I'm like, I gotta do it.
Drilling out barrels is awesome. It makes a hell of a difference. I mean, if you get the right drill, you can do metal. I've got an old metal gun bore that Marshall was like, no, I'm drilling out the barrel of that for all it's here, and he's just like, there you go, drilled out. While we're doing that, I'm gonna get those ready because I forgot to do that.
I'm just trying to log into Twitch because I haven't actually done that yet.
So you don't actually have to log in. You can just go to our site and just watch the feed. That way you can comment on the one. Because right now, the one that I have up is the guy that looks like he has a pig face, and he looks like he has a two-handed revolver.
I found it.
Okay.
Revolver shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's like a.
You're looking up names.
Hold up. Oh, blessed muting of the Twitch. See, I'm a little new to that. So yeah, that's one of the regular guys with the bolter shotgun or whatever it is. Because I don't have the actual rule book, so I don't know. But there's several guys that have that weapon. But I can't like scroll through any faster.
Okay, well, I will go through it because I've actually controlled. The next guy we have on here is... Oh, come on. There he goes. This is a guy that's got something on his back, and he's holding looks like a Laz revolver cannon?
Laz revolver cannon.
That's what it looks like.
That's my favorite guy.
Because he's got the cigar.
Yeah, he's one of the two with the cigar, and I actually have a picture there of the sprue with the guy's head and the cigar, which is a separate piece, and it's super tiny, like super tiny. So I took blue tack.
Yep.
And attached a little piece of it to the cigar before I cut it off the sprue so that I wouldn't drop it and lose it in the carpet somewhere. Because it is so small, it just would have looked like any other piece of, plastic crumbs that you get when you're working with these models.
Get a box lid and cut parts into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, but it really worked well to be able to have that cigar stuck into the blue tack, because then I could actually like place it into his mouth too. Like I used the plastic cement, for all of this stuff, just like I would for, my Malifaux stuff. Uh, there were a couple of chancy things, but actually, this guy with the hammer and the cigar, he is my most favorite model.
All right, our next one. You can see that one. It looks like another hammer revolver guy.
Oh, that's a wrench, I think. Some kind of adjustable wrench. And there's two different guys that have the adjustable wrench weapon.
Okay.
One of them's got a wrench and an axe, and then there's the guy with the wrench and the gun.
All right, the guy with the axe should be coming up right now.
But you can see how detailed these things are.
Yes.
And they have instructions for the first basic 10 characters. So if you follow those instructions, they're really easy to put together. And the sprues have numbers on them that will correspond to your instructions, so it's pretty easy to follow if you can read.
Oh.
But they went together really easily. The way the arms are, the shoulder has a little cut out of it that fits perfectly to the shape on the torso. So your arms are always going to be in the way they're supposed to be. But this guy actually is my one that I had a problem with, where the instructions say that he has a plate of armor on his thigh.
Mm-hmm.
And so I glued the plate of armor on his thigh, and then I went to glue the right hand that's holding the grip of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't fit.
I think I got a copy of that because you had circled it and did some markings on that. I got pictures of that, so you can show.
Yeah, I circled where the shitty part was, because what ended up happening is I had to, the arm wouldn't fit on when I dry fit it, so I had to rip the thigh armor off, glue the arm on, and then cut the thigh armor around the hand so that I could, because now I couldn't leave the thigh armor off because now there was a big melty glue spot. So and now in hindsight, I feel like I could have made that be burn damage, like he got shot in the leg or something.
Uh-huh.
But that's hindsight. So I trimmed the plate of armor and glued it back on. But that was kind of a pain. I was disappointed, but it's the only one that didn't go together exactly the way that the instructions laid out.
Fat Corby has a question. How were the mold lines on this stuff?
They were actually pretty easy to clean. They kind of disguise the mold lines in the edges of the details, so you don't really notice it that much. Like on the flat part of the thigh, you file that off, and there's just a few areas that I filed. They cleaned up pretty quickly, and I'm the kind of person that's pretty meticulous with mold lines. The only ones I missed were the ones that were on the feet, because the way they have the armor on the tops of the feet, it kind of melts into the boot. There's not really a defined edge, which is how it is sometimes with digitally sculpted stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So those mold lines on the feet kind of ended up staying there, as I discovered after I primed it.
Oh yeah, been there. This is one you're saying is your favorite one, the guy with the hammer and cigar.
Yeah, there's a couple of different views of him, so you can really see the front view now. Yeah, my favorite guy, Shane.
I'm just wondering what the guy before him had as a weapon. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, you mean? Hold on, I'll go back. I have technology.
I forget what they call that.
The guy with the...
We were looking at that in the store, and I'm like, I don't even have an inkling of what the hell that is.
It looks like he's got arrows in it, so he shoots out the arrows, exploding arrows or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's some specialist weapon, and I don't have a robot, so I couldn't.
You're right. It does look like arrows or something there. I don't know what that is. It's crazy. Whatever it is, that's a crazy, crazy weapon.
You actually took a picture of this like a weapon, and it was like grenades. Was it just?
Congo said he'll tell me later, so eventually we'll have an answer to that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I mean,
Congo. So these are some of the fiddly bits that they have in the instructions. They have you gluing them in weird places that they don't actually look like they fit. Like the models weren't really designed for these things to go there. They're slightly too big in scale, in my opinion. So I ended up, rather than shoving the knife with the chain hanging off of it, like right into this guy's, you know, arm while he's holding this gun,
That's
it
not a
looked
knife.
ridiculous.
That's a
so
sword.
I glued it on the back, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he can just, you know, draw it. And this guy, I just put the grenades just on the base because it was ridiculous how they had him hanging off of the front of him. Like he's not wearing a belt or anything. I'm like, where do these hang?
He's got the champion belt. I'm making the discount double check thing on my waist, which you probably can't see in the video at all.
So there were a couple where I hung the grenades off the back where he actually has a belt.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it made more sense to me rather than in the instructions they had him hanging off the front, which just looked stupid.
Yeah.
Right now I've got
Wizard
the...
Wing was always a big thing with Necromunda. You having all the weapons on the model.
Yeah, but I would have preferred it to be more to scale. Like they would have looked fine if they looked like were designed to be there instead of just here's a thing and I'm going to glue it flat onto this other thing.
It's an old GW trick.
Here's that one you were talking about where their plate was messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so did you carve it out, or because I see the hole where like his leg and arm are too close?
Yeah, it's just that plate of armor where it meets his forearm. There wasn't enough room for the entire plate, so I cut the top off it, and then it looked kind of funny. So I took the top part and cut a little piece off of that, so it looks like there's just a notch in it. And once it gets painted up, it probably won't look like, you won't be able to tell that I did anything weird to it. But
No, it'll look fine.
Definitely needed some adjustment. So I would advise for that guy, and his name is Drago. Don't put the thigh armor on Drago.
And
here's your favorite piece.
Called a crumper rivet gun, a rivet cannon, apparently.
Tea and crumpers?
Tea and a lot of crumpers. Here's your cigar picture that you were showing
My
up.
guy with the cigar, yeah. And you can see the face is separate from the mohawk, and it is on every single one of them. So you have a choice of faces, and some of them are just regular face, and some of them have like a mask or a helmet. But you can choose. I mean, in the directions it says use this face with this mohawk, but I kind of mixed and matched, and there was only one where I had to use a little elbow grease to get the face to fit onto the wrong mohawk. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, mix and match your faces and mohawks and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of putty and a little bit of knife work, you go a long way.
You don't even need that. Like, I had the plastic glue, so it sort of melted the plastic a little, and then I was able to kind of ram it in. So.
Here's also the front piece. I guess this is still about the leg armor piece.
Yeah. You can see where it just hits the hand and the butt of the gun and everything. It was, yeah.
Okay.
But I like that guy. He's my other cigar smoking guy. Let's see, where do I have him? And I'm looking because they're all sitting right here. I'm gonna hold it up.
I'm gonna switch over to the all three so you can see that.
I've got him kind of painted. Now hold on. Hold on so I can see what I'm doing here. There's my...
Yeah, this looks good.
Yeah.
What about your other one that you... Are you able to show the other one that you painted? Because that one was really cool. I really like the paint scheme on that one.
The one that actually has the color on it? The armor painted?
Yeah, hold on a second. Hold on, focus, you stupid camera.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's not focused in. Back it up just a little bit.
Back it up.
Better?
No, go closer. And your camera's just not focusing.
It worked before.
Yeah, it worked earlier.
It.
It worked on one before, yeah. I don't know why it's not working now.
Hold it right there. You may have to adjust it.
Well, really good pictures on the Facebook page.
Anyway,
Check it out there.
Yeah, and on the Facebook page I'll be posting all my work in progress pictures. You can see them. It's funny because I'm trying to rush through these because I'm painting them for Adepticon for like the demo tables or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to just kind of not do like the fancy paint job. But I am trying to use the ridiculously bold colors on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also good because it's not what we call standard Goliath colors, and so people like really stuck on standard colors. I have a local who refuses to paint orcs with green, and he painted his Shadespire orcs, and those pictures will be on the Facebook page tomorrow morning.
Nice.
At 10 a.m.
Sweet.
I scheduled the post.
Oh.
They're very cool to show how you can paint something in an entirely different manner, and they still look good.
Yeah. So what do you give the models? What do you think? How do you think the models are compared to other models that you're used to?
So now, and this is across the board for the Games Workshop stuff, it all seems very boxy to me. Like compared to Malifaux or some of these other ones, they seem a lot more organic. Like the curves, the hair, the folds of the cloth,
Mm-hmm.
the actual faces and hands. These all seem very sort of square, very boxy instead of rounded, like you expect a face or a hand to be very organic looking, and they're not. But that's my own nitpick. Otherwise I love them. I love the detail. I love the way they fit together. It was amazing. The design is fantastic. There's a couple of the running poses, and running poses are a pet peeve of mine because all of GW's running poses have the guy basically facing the table.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that detail that's sculpted into the front is facing the table, and when you're standing above it playing your game, you don't see any of that. So it's really pointless.
Give that guy a very, very distinct mohawk.
I always have to base them with terrain so that they're angled up. So it looks like they're running up something, and then they're like, you can see them. So that's the way I solve that problem. But they keep doing that. They did it with Blood Bowl too, where they had the guys that are all kind of leaning forward.
I think that's whoever Digital Sculpts was. I think that's his thing.
Yes.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's the anime run.
Yeah, the anime run. Or, I mean, really, it does fit if you put terrain piece down so it looks like they're running up it. That's when you would be at an angle.
Yeah.
That would be... They need to sculpt that into the guy's foot. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, have a piece of terrain sculpted right onto his foot if you've got him in a dynamic pose. So that
absolutely.
He'll be upright.
Yeah, because it's plastic and you want them to do any other way, you can cut it off. It's easier to work with. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean,
they don't go the whole tactical rock like Infinity does. I hate the tactical rock.
Yeah. With that said, either one of y'all gonna be playing it when things come out?
So next Sunday is when I've got a game scheduled with my friend. We'll be playing some Necromunda, and I will be talking about it on the podcast next week.
I definitely will be picking it up once more games come out. That's my thing. I just gotta wait for a game to come out that I like.
I'm totally going to look at it when the gangs come out. Got a lot of stuff on my plate, so I don't want to say guaranteed, even though I loved it back in the day. I don't want to say guaranteed I'm going to play it because of time constraints, but I'm definitely going to give it a look.
Yeah. So we got a little bit time left. I only have like one movie to review. John, Kathy, what do you have to review?
I've been painting.
So
movies.
I've been reading a series of books that were written in like 1908, 1910, the early 1900s. But that's neither here nor there. I find them interesting because of the weird cultural things, like the one I was reading the other day. This kid came down with diphtheria, so they had to quarantine the whole house for 2 weeks. And I'm like, and it was by law. And I'm like, wow, that was a thing. That's
Wow.
that's crazy. You know,
Yeah,
not like it is today.
That's the old times. I have a movie, and then talk a little bit more on a YouTube series, and then I just want to talk about a trailer a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay. So let's give about 15 minutes to talk about low model count army games coming out. Because a lot of people, and I've been talking with some other dealers and other, producers of like token sets and everything, that it's becoming the new norm on miniature games is smaller model counts. Infinity, Guild Ball, Necromunda, Batman game, everything, Shadespire.
Yeah, Mordheim, yeah.
Everything.
Shadespire's more of a board game with miniatures, but that's fair.
Yeah. Everything that seems to be coming out recently, has been low model count, which is pretty, I wouldn't say surprising, but more in line with what the economy.
Well, the economy is actually doing well. It's actually more in line with the fact that there's so many games out there that are quality.
Correct.
So that if
you
it's
could
a low buy-in, you can play multiple games easier.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when I mean economy, I mean my paycheck.
Oh.
Our paycheck as gamers and nerds.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is because I don't know if I could get into another game that costs what War Machine and Hordes cost to play a full game anymore, and not on a whim.
Yeah, fair, because actually their prices have gotten to the point where honestly buying an army is in the same ballpark as buying a 40K army nowadays.
I've noticed that too, because I always thought that, privateer press stuff would be less expensive, because you always hear people talking about how, Games Workshop, and they charge too much for their stuff, and everybody else is, the little guy. So I went, and I was like, ooh, I always liked Hordes. I always liked, Troll Bloods. Maybe I start up some Hordes, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, the new North Kid unit came out. This 10-man unit is like $85.
Nope.
And while they look great, I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's not like for the quality of models you're getting, it's not a bad price. It's just if you're looking at making an army, you're getting a 15-point unit out of your army for $85. It's a hell of a thing.
Yes.
So are their plastics still that sort of rustic, the...
No, it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
their resins are better.
Yeah, it's like GW with Finecast, where they listened and eventually, they got rid of it. To the point where I don't think they're doing anything in that material anymore, and we're not sure what they're going to do with any models that was only in that material when they run out of what they got. So that's interesting to see what they do.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so small model count's great because it does give you the chance to play more games, more wider variety of games. Who can't get into X-Wing? You need 4 or 5 ships that are about, $15 a piece, because the bigger ships are about twice the cost in the game of the smaller ships, and they're about twice the cost in actual money. So you're talking $15 to $20 a ship for that many ships. It's really not bad.
No, and if you think about it, Arena Rex, you only need about 4 models, 5 models. Batman, 5 to 10. I was looking at Malifaux and stuff, and there's roughly 10 or so models there, give or take.
Unlikely you'll need 10, but yeah, 10 would be like top point. But you're looking at a gang box plus a couple things. You're looking at maybe, I would say, Malifaux and a lot of those games you're looking at, you could probably get in for $150.
Yeah.
Congo just mentioned Eden. Were you going to talk about Eden a little?
Yeah, I had watched that. I'd watched the battle report because Congo and I talked about it when I was streaming, putting together the models. And this Eden player, the guy was playing whatever the artificial intelligent robot faction was, and he had 3 models, and that was it.
Oh, wow.
he only played with 3 models, and the other guy had like 6 models. So I mean, I actually kind of dig that. I mean, Guild Ball plays with about 6 models, give or take.
Yeah.
So I mean, I actually kind of like that. And was going and Xander was mentioning Company of Iron. PP did it with their own line. They're like, yeah, you could play with 6 models.
Dark Age, similar, probably less than a dozen models, all told.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a lot of...
Infinity we talked about, less than... Generally, the most I've seen in Infinity is 20 models, but you're really trying at that point to get a lot of models.
I actually like that.
Kind of the way forward. I think Legion may be the next game that comes out that's not just straight up small model count, but it looks like that's going for more squad based, so you'll move them around as squads, so it'll still play pretty quick. And they'll be pre-painted, so you won't have to paint them.
Yeah. I know the game that I'm beta testing right now, or alpha testing right now, uses a low model count. Also 6 to 10 models.
Yeah.
I find that interesting that a lot of our games now are going that way, which I'm perfectly happy with. I could sink $100 into a game, and if I play it if I play it once a week, maybe 2 or 3 times a month, I'm okay with that. I couldn't see buying into War Machine and Hordes again, and only playing that once or maybe twice a month.
Yeah, it's a tough sell playing that few games with that model count army. Congo and I are both kickstarted Relic Knights, the 2nd edition, because they kickstarted the 1st edition, and that's going to be. I mean, I couldn't imagine having more than 20 models for that all told, and I'm sure it'll be less. Every time I played, it was like dozen-ish models.
Yeah.
So I mean it's the way forward, and GW, Flames of War, and War Machine Hordes are the only big model count armies out there that are still a really big thing, let's say.
I mean, because even Kings of War, you don't use a lot of models either anymore.
You do use a lot of models, but they're cheap, and it's not like you don't have to buy quite as many models because you can make fillers. You can use the fillers in your unit.
Correct.
The unit stays together, which is
it's still totally different than a skirmish game with a low model count. Very different.
But I mean, it's not like Fantasy, where I remember you had to have a unit of 20 models and a 5x5 brick or whatever, and you had the orc player that
I would commonly go to like 36 models in a unit just to make it feel like it was doing something.
Correct.
See, well, I had Ogre Kingdom, so I had a pretty low model count, unless I brought my Noblars.
Yeah, so low model count seems like what they're aiming for. And GW even tried it when they did, what the hell was that game? The skirmish level 40k game they put out before 8th edition came out.
I got that. We only played a little bit of it. It was like Armageddon.
Yeah, something like that. Shadow War Armageddon. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
They tried that, and it didn't take off like they wanted, but I mean, it's still another good way to use your models like Company of Iron in a smaller battle game. Though to be fair,
good things about it though.
Yeah. Wasn't anything wrong with it.
To be fair, I think this goes into a bigger problem of you don't have to play these big games at full points values. You don't have to pay 300 points of Infinity. You don't have to play 50 points of Malifaux. You don't have to play 79 points of War Machine of Hordes. There are other points levels for a damn reason.
Yeah.
You can play whatever you want, and talk to your groups. I mean, you can scale it back. Like, hey, we want to play that many models. Let's play, 50 points of War Machine of Hordes. You'd be surprised taking off a little bit of points there makes a hell of a difference in what you're playing.
People get hooked into, I need 2,500 points of, 40k, Age of Sigmar, Fantasy, whatever, I need this much because I'm practicing this army for tournaments.
And
that's why people are playing this particular model count. That's why they feel like they have to do this model count, because that's what everybody's doing, because all my friends are practicing for tournaments, and that's the only way I'm going to get a game in.
That's a very good point, because a lot of people, because you can play battle box games, per se, with War Machine and Hordes, but everybody's playing a 75-point game.
Yeah, you can play Battle Box Games 40K of that, but you probably shouldn't. But it's better at a slightly higher level than that. I feel like the third week of a Journeyman League, you're really like, this is what I'm talking about. I got a unit, some dudes, and my battle group. This is good. That's the level where I think it starts really shining at.
Yeah.
But it's the tournament thing, and I go off about it every once in a while. There are multiple ways to play a game you don't have to play for a tournament. And every tournament doesn't have to be the same format. Shorehammer just happened this weekend in Ocean City, Maryland, and they were playing not with match play, and Gonzo know what I'm talking about. They were actually playing they're playing open play with a power level limit for 40K, which is crazy, but it's good to see a different format out there.
I see somebody mentioning Zombicide, which is a favorite of my board games. As he's like, that's the only miniature game that they play around me, and
Zombicide is great with the right group. With the right group, it's super awesome.
Yeah, there are people that don't understand what cooperation is.
What?
Well, there are also people who take it too far, and we had a problem with one of the guys was a table general. And he would be like, you do that, you do this, you do that. I'm like, I'm going to walk away now. You play my character because I am obviously not needed to be input in this thing.
I have run across those people too, yeah.
Well,
everything.
Crimson 1919 brought up a really good point that War Machine, and is the whole attitude of War Machine equals Steamroller, is a big problem.
It is.
And I agree with him to a point, but I don't agree. I don't 100% agree with him for the simple fact that it doesn't have to be, but a lot of the meta believes that. And that's a problem.
This is a PP problem. And I'm not throwing shade their way necessarily. If the scenarios in the book were viable to play with people, they wouldn't have this problem. 40K doesn't have this problem. You can play it at any points level, and the scenarios tell you, all right, you're playing this point, you get this many attachments, you're playing on this size table, go. Malifaux, it has the scenarios that are totally playable out of the book, so you can play at any level. The problem is to play an actual really good game of War Machine, you kind of have to use the Steamroller packet, and the Steamroller packet's optimized for the 75 points because it's the tournament packet.
Well, it's also getting people out of that tournament because a lot of people... I mean, okay, I go to a lot of tournaments and I love tournament play, but I can play a fun, silly, stupid tournament too for the same reason. Yeah. But a lot of people have that narrow sight. They're like, tournament only, tournament only, tournament only. Oh, you're doing a fun event, charity event? Fuck it, tournament only, tournament only, tournament only.
Well, the real problem is that if you don't have a rule set easily available for you, you'll go to what the easiest rule set is. Like, you and I could sit down and play... Like, I've played games of War Machine... with no actual scenario from Steamroller, and had no problem because we're playing the game as intended, because we know what's intended. He's like, all right, I got really nothing left to do except back my caster up and not die, so you win.
Yeah.
We're adults, we can say that.
Mark
but
1.
You can't do that as a pickup game in a store. You go, you have to play a scenario because you have to have some reason to engage.
Yeah.
To go really old school, when 40K went from 2nd edition to 3rd edition, a lot of us were disillusioned. We tried to go back and play stuff like Battletech, but found that with no scenario or anything like that, even the simple missions that were in 2nd edition 40K, there was no reason to engage in a favorable turn. So we spent like an hour, jumping from cover to cover and not really exchanging shots. I was like, this is not fun. What the fuck are we doing here?
Well, it also brings up the point that the way games are played on the skirmish level compared to the large scale level are changing. Because Kathy and I had talked about this at one point, that a lot of games are now, I move, do something, you move a model, do something. You're not taking full army movements like in War Machine Hordes. That all the new games are back and forth, one model at a time.
You know what? Even
alternating activations is great.
Yeah. Even Bolt Action, which is not, I would not call it a huge battle game, but it's not a tiny skirmish game.
It's a middle ground, yeah.
They have that dice mechanic where you draw a dice out of a bag, so it's not exactly alternating, but for each unit you activate, you're drawing randomly to see who's activating which unit, which I like that idea too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great, unique way to handle the activations units. I mean, it's a great way to add into a format that literally has two other players, and those players are alternate activations, or I take my turn, you take your turn.
And I thought about that for a long time because, like I said, I've been playing a bunch of different games and tabletop stuff. And I got into Grimkin, and I started playing Grimkin, and I love playing my Grimkin. And I finally figured out why I like playing my Grimkin is because of the Arcana. Because I have to watch your turn and figure out if I want to pop this Arcana based on what you're going to be doing, chickenhead. And so it makes me enjoy the game a whole lot more because in typical, I'm just sitting there waiting for you to get your turn done, and I'm just pulling off models. If I don't have anything to tough on, I'm just pulling models off the board while you're wiping me off the board. With
stupid, but even 40K with its turn activation, the command points and things you can do defensively, and the fact you have to make armor saves, keep you engaged in the turn.
Yes.
It wouldn't seem that way, but I'm like, it really feels like you're more engaged. I've said multiple times on this and Pain Without John that some of the most unpleasant experiences I've had are in tournaments where my opponent goes, I really have to find a way to assassinate you, and takes like 30 minutes of his clock to try and craft a perfect turn to assassinate you, which is literally the worst game experience ever. And I've had games where I've removed one opponent model entirely, and that was it. That were better games than that shit.
Yeah, and I'm very much engaged on my opponent's turn when I'm playing Grimkin. And I think it's the reason why I like them so much. They're a great army, they're fun, they're cool, but I think that's what it is. And I think that's what's really drawing me to a lot of other games, and like Company of Iron, is because we're engaged every 4 minutes, every 3 minutes, every 2 minutes, depending on the game.
It seems like it makes the game go faster.
Yes.
You don't have downtime where you're like, well, functionally, you can just take my models off when you kill them. I'm going to go take a crap or something.
Yeah, all you got to do is watch their dice rolls.
I wasn't going to say it like that, but okay, yeah, I agree.
I mean, there are people I trust enough who will take the models off, appropriately, and I'll just go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah. And I see a lot of things going like that, which I'm cool and happy with. I like alternating turns. I like alternating activations. I like being engaged entirely in the game, not just half of the game. And I guess that's the reason why I like Grimkin a lot.
Between that and the having scenarios in the book that are perfectly playable so you can play alternate formats, I feel like that's a couple things companies getting into a game should look at.
Yep.
I feel that way about board games too, though. Like if you've got those board games that are really complex, like a Zombicide or a Arkham Horror or any of those ones where you have a million things to do each round, each person. Battlestar Galactica's that way too.
Yeah.
Where there's so many things going on, and you're going around, and you've got the token that you need to keep track of the first person, otherwise you just forget because there's so much stuff going on.
Yep.
But in some of those games, it's easy to get bored and not pay attention, but you really need to be paying attention to what everybody else is doing in order to figure out your strategy. So what you're going to do when it gets back to your turn. I feel like some of those games kind of drop the ball with their mechanic, where they're not keeping you engaged.
Indeed.
All right, we got about 20 minutes or so. Let's get into our media section, because I know exactly what John wants to talk about. So,
what do you want to talk about, John?
Do you want to say that for last? Or you want me to go right into it?
Let's save the good one for last. Let's save the thing I know you want to talk about for last, because we'll all be engaged in that one. So go with your movie first.
A movie? Okay. Well, we didn't play last night, role-playing, because Norin was out. He just got a new puppy. And, didn't want to leave her alone, so I'm like, that's fair.
Pictures?
And not yet. But and we sort of ended the last session on him getting an important piece of information, so I threw it on my mind and said, let's not play, but Troy and not Brushhead Dave and came over anyways, and then when my other buddy Spencer came in, and we watched. Troy messaged me, it's like, if we do watch a movie, do "Do you have a copy of Deadpool? I'd like to see that again." I'm like, "Do I have a copy of Deadpool?" I have a copy. Remember, he has a copy. Dave's sitting there. He has a copy. It might even be on him.
I'd watch that
We watched
again.
Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool's super awesome. It's actually at the point where I've seen it enough where it is great background because you'll stop, see a couple of the great moments, and you're like, the so-so stuff's going on, and I'll concentrate on something else for a bit, and then go back to another awesome moment.
I agree with you.
It's a great movie. It is a great. It's a great one to pair with Logan. Between the two of them, you're perfectly good. You watch Logan, then you watch Deadpool. Like you're back up to where you need to be. Though I don't know if you've seen the deleted scenes, Gonzo. I assume you have.
Mm-hmm.
The one where he's in the clinic in Mexico. That really would have changed the tone of the movie, and I'm kind of glad they took it out. But it is cool to see.
Yeah, I mean,
that would have changed it. And they could have made this movie really kind of dark and depressing, and I'm really super glad they didn't.
What do you mean? Could have.
Yeah,
it was pertinent to take out those scenes because it didn't fit what they were going for in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see, but they're putting Deadpool to be their sort of comedy character and did a good job. It is one of the best X-Men universe movies. I'd personally put it in the top 3 X-Men universe movies.
Cool.
Pretty easy. 0 shots of Kraken.
I agree with you on that one.
But you can have as much Kraken as you want because it's Deadpool.
Yes.
I imagine it's funnier as you get drunker. And it also shows how you can make a great movie, and you can make it not obvious that you're trying not to spend a lot of money at certain points of the movie. The last scene where they're like, we don't have enough money to do all the gun stuff, so let's just save some money, and he forgot his guns in the car. Which totally fits.
My movie, and I watched it with my friend Erica, and we watched the Warcraft movie.
Yeah?
Hear it.
Okay, so I played Warcraft just like every other nerd. Loved Warcraft, played it for years.
I don't play Warcraft.
I know, you didn't. I did. Don't play it anymore. It's got a great history. It's got a great story. It's got great fluff. It's got a good everything. But the one thing that doesn't work in the movie of doing a Warcraft movie is all the cartoony stuff. Everything looks way too cartoony in the movie. And I know that they're trying to go for an exact copy of what was happening in the game, but it just doesn't work.
It's disconcerting, you would say?
Yeah, it just everything feels out of place. Everything feels like a problem. It was just bad. The story was horrible. It's like they were rushing through it. The graphics were fine. The orcs look cool.
Did it seem like they were trying too hard?
Yes, 100% they were trying way too hard.
Yeah. I hate that.
What's funny is about 75% in the movie, Erica looks at me and goes, "This is a 3-shot of Kraken movie."
I see Fat Corby says Warcraft movie, the plot tempo was too fast.
Yeah, they tried to fit way too much into it. It was just way too quick. You had no character development whatsoever. You didn't have a chance to really feel for any of the characters. It just pretty much sucked. It was not worth it. I mean, no way I would have bought it. No way I would have spent money on it. I would have been mad if I would have spent money on it. So luckily it was on demand.
Wait till it's free.
Yeah, wait till it's on demand or whatever you can do. And I agree with Erica. It's a 3 shots of Kraken because you're just like... Eventually I was like, can this hurry up and get over with so we can watch something else?
Oh, no.
I hate those movies.
That's when you know it's bad.
Well,
That sounds like 4 shots.
Well, you knew... I mean, if you know any of the Warcraft history, you know what's going on. If you played the game, you know what's going on. But you couldn't feel for anybody in the movie.
Oof.
All the characters were very bland and boring.
It's the worst.
Yeah. So
The only thing worse is when you have a protagonist you actively hate.
Yeah, you're
That's
just
the
like...
only thing worst.
I'm just watching this, I'm like, yeah, this sucks. So for me, 3 shots of Kraken on the Warcraft movie. If you want to be tortured, go right ahead. If you want to get a laugh, don't watch this unless you hate yourself.
So I should avoid it because I'm hell-bent on watching all the movies I watch all the way through.
Yes.
Oof.
So with that said, John, what are we going to talk about?
Well, actually, I'm throw the YouTube series I'm talking about. I've actually been rewatching some Red versus Blue. Just hit or miss stuff here or there, and I really think I might want to get this maybe on DVD or something and just watch it all the way through again because now I'm about 3 to 5 seasons out of date on it. I think I last saw season 10 or so, which was the end of a saga. And man, I've talked about it before on here, but some of those fight scenes are absolutely kick-ass. And when a web series like that was originally made for jokes at the end of it can get you some actual feels, that's some impressive work.
Yeah.
Because the end of it, the end of episode 10, or I guess not the end, but the resolution of season 10, you're like, man, there's some feels there. You get the final, you see it all comes together, and you're like, damn, I'd forgotten that. That's some serious feels. So, Red vs. Blue, good stuff. I think I might watch it again. It's on my list now. I don't know how I'm going to watch all the stuff I have to because, good lord. Too much stuff coming out. But that's not what we want to talk about, is it, Gonzo?
No.
We want to talk about a little trailer
Woo, woo.
for a little movie, Avengers: Infinity War.
Yep.
Man, so it came out, and I was at work, and no sound on my computer at work because I'm not gonna stop, put my headphones in, and listen to my headphones while I'm supposed to be working. Screw that. I'll put it on the background. So I watched it a couple times in the background. I was like, just not without sound. It was still cool.
Yes.
Had the sound when I get home. It was super awesome.
Yes.
I'm a little concerned, and I will throw a little shade Marvel's way for spoiling effects from Thor Ragnarok within a month of the movie coming out.
Yeah.
Now, some people may not notice it if it's going by so quick, but if you're really paying attention, you'll notice, like, oh, you kind of spoiled some of that.
Yep.
How did that happen? It's not going to ruin the movie by any stretch, but you're sort of like, how did that happen? Interesting. But, I mean, it's really cool. People have made fun of Thanos when he first shows up because he's not in his full armor or anything. I'll reserve judgment. I don't really care. I mean, it's Thanos. It's fine.
Yeah. There were some good joke posts where they had a picture of Thanos, and they made him look like Homer Simpson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's some good fun.
Yeah.
But, like, I've heard people judge it like, oh, I'm not sure I want to see this movie because Thanos looks terrible. I'm like, first off, you're seeing the fucking movie. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Second one, you could judge a movie off that? Jesus Christ, come on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Holy moly, it almost made me forget that Star Wars is coming out this year. Almost.
Yeah, that's in what? A couple weeks?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
2 weeks. I was really excited about it too. I was watching it and I was like, okay, there's this character, there's this character. They showed Spidey senses going off, which I thought was really cool.
God, that was awesome.
The line, "Get this man a shield." I mean, everything was just great. I mean,
that line was awesome.
Yeah.
Captain America beard is on point.
Yes, everything was really good.
Star-Lord mustache is ill-advised.
Well, and going at the very end, they're like, "And who are you guys?" And then they show the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, "Hell yes!" I'm like,
so if there are spoilers out there, if you wish to go look for them, I suggest not, because all the toys that are coming out have titles and all. Like the Lego sets apparently have spoiled certain plot points.
oh,
I don't
really?
think any of them are going to spoil the movie at all. But
No.
be careful what you're looking at because there are spoilers to be found.
Yeah. I mean, it got me excited for it. I don't think there hasn't been anybody do a movie like this before. So this is a big risk that they're taking.
There's so many people in this movie.
Yes.
Just like it's everyone. Everyone. If the character is still alive in Marvel, they're probably in the movie, or they thought about putting in the movie and like, maybe we don't need to get Paltrow in this movie because she doesn't have a place. Fair.
What I hope is Tony Stark and Star-Lord meet up, and they like try to steal the show from each other every time they go somewhere, and they like try to out compete each other of who's the biggest badass and who's the coolest. I want to see that more than anything, because Star-Lord has just got that attitude.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Guardians are going to be doing different stuff through most of the movie.
I really hope that they do meet up, but I mean, eventually they all.
Well, remember, there's another Avengers movie in a year that's going to be sort of the ending of this era, if you will, this overall arc. I think so. That'll be cool because they did announce that they have tons of movies planned, and like this will be the end of an arc, and then everything after that'll be a whole new arc with. I mean, I'm sure they'll have some small unresolved plot lines, but there won't be any of the major ones.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because I'm looking forward to it. It hasn't been done. I mean, at this point, is this the longest movie series ever, I'm sure?
Yeah.
It's 22 movies and counting.
Yeah, I mean it's
crazy.
They're just going to... I'm also afraid that they're not... I don't want to say it's going to move too fast. You don't have to worry about character development. Besides Thanos, and you really don't even have to even do that for reasons.
That one line he had in the movie, in the trailer, where he's like, he's like, you're gonna, find that you fail even though you think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, Thanos doesn't need a lot of development. He's had some development in the background. There's gonna be a million characters, so I don't expect a ton of character development in there.
Nope.
I think a handful of character moments will be plenty. Like some Black Widow, Dr. Banner stuff. Just a little bit of stuff here or there will be plenty. But, I mean, I think it's the same guys who did Captain America Civil War and Winter Soldier, so I fucking trust those guys. They hit out to the park 2 for 2. I can't wait to see if they make it 3 for 3.
Yeah, I hope. I feel good about it. Can't wait to see it. But there's always that reserve because there's such a large amount of characters in it. But hell yes.
Hell yes. Next summer? Early summer? May?
May. Yeah, because we have Black Panther coming up next in the Marvel Universe, isn't it?
Yep.
Can't
Black
wait
Panther
to see that.
and then Ant-Man and the Wasp after that movie.
Yes. So I can't wait to see it.
Sweet.
And we have gone through a whole nother month. So to the individual that won the miniature, which is Aaron Stone, congratulations.
Hey,
yeah.
This time you did not fuck up, Aaron. You did it right.
You did win a miniature painted by Kathy this month. Please give her a little extra time with the holiday season. She's going to need to take just a little extra, but you will get it. So don't worry about that. We will be doing another drawing. Kathy is in charge of all of that, so she gets to choose the miniatures. So, of course, this is not always going to be a War Machine and Horde stuff. Because Kathy actually has some really cool miniatures that I don't even... Some of them stuff aren't even go for games anymore, are they? So, I mean, it could be. We don't know. It's all up to Kathy. It's her jib. She gets to do whatever she wants.
I have a shit ton of random miniatures all over the place.
So Aaron Stone, you did win the miniature this month. Just give her a little bit whenever it is finally finished, which will be an amazing paint job. We will send it out to you. Other than that, I think that's a good wrap, guys. What do you think?
It's another episode in the can.
The digital can we go. Thanks for all our patrons, guys. If you can, like us on Facebook, like us on Twitch, subscribe to both of our channels. It does help us out a lot. We really, really want to get up to a certain amount of views in YouTube so we can get our actual channel and get things that we need. That helps us out. We have to actually get 10,000 views before we can do something. And then we've got to get, and then we have to get 100 subscribers before we can get something else. So we really need that. So if you know anybody, guys, go over to our YouTube channel, like us, subscribe to us here, like us here, etc.
Tell your friends.
Tell everybody.
Friends. Tell them all.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe.
Subscribe.
It helps us out for a lot of stuff, a lot more than people think. Being on the back end of this has really changed the way I think about people that do Twitching and people that do YouTube. And it helps us out a lot. especially learning how to do all this stuff quickly because it does take a lot of time. It takes Kathy a lot of time to paint those miniatures. It takes John a lot of time not only to watch it but to do all this stuff. And I've got to load everything up, and I'm also doing reviews too. And this right here. So anything you can do. That's funny hitting. Yeah, if you don't have friends, go find him. Go find friends. Let everybody know.
Find them at the game store. That's where I found all my friends.
Yep. With that said, we will go here.
Chicken.
So, chicken, say goodnight. For more than nights, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
Good night, guys.
Oh god.
And how do we eat the chicken?
No! We eat the chicken.
He's a scrawny chicken.
Oh my god, it looks like you're choking him. Oh,
John's choking his chicken.
Don't really have a girl.
There you have it, folks. John choking his chicken.
How about that one?
Oh, indeed. Oh, I think I need dinner.